Hey guys, Ron here, and almost a year ago I invited some Fakemon artists and we redesigned each other's Pokemon, and now I'm doing it again. You can't stop me. Umbreon Libris, Fruppy Art, and the Sterninator know what they signed up for, so don't feel bad for them. Each person will have to pick 3 Pokemon, one from each of the other artists' roster, to redesign. If you're new to the channel, make sure to check out all the other Fakemon videos and Pokemon art challenges we do, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you want to see a part 3. Consider becoming a patron or pressing the join button to become a member and support the channel, so we can afford to do more huge collabs like this. But before we begin, I want to once again talk about today's sponsor, Raycon. For pretty much a whole year now, I've been telling everybody about Raycon's everyday earbuds, and how they offer the same audio capabilities as the bigger name brand companies for half the price. I even made an entire line of Pokemon based on Raycon's products. Why do I go above and beyond for them? Because the secret is, Mr. Raycon is my father, and my father deserves the best gosh darn earbuds around. Now behind the scenes, I've been gifting my beloved family Raycon earbuds, and they cannot stop thanking me. I tried to ask them to come onto the sponsored segment to talk about how much they love the 32-hour battery life, multi-point connectivity, vibrant colors, and amazing cases. But they had their everyday earbuds on and couldn't hear my request over the active noise cancellation. And not only do they look great, but they support wireless charging, so you don't even have to take the protective cover off to get 90 minutes of battery in just 10 minutes of charging using their quick charge function. They also have customizable sound profiles, touch features, what? I said touch features, and a complimentary set of different sized ear gels. What? I can't hear you. I got the active noise cancellation on and don't have any hands to turn it off. How'd you put the earbuds on if... Never mind. The point is, with all these features, the everyday earbuds are perfect for my daily walks. So if you guys watching finally want to get a hold of some earbuds at half the usual price of other brands you know, while still boasting more features than those other earbuds, click the link in the description and go to buyraycon.com/truegreen7 to show your loved ones a bit of love and get 15% off your Raycon purchase site-wide. And with their 30-day happiness guarantee, there is absolutely no reason to not try out at least one Raycon product. I guess we're literally just starting with Gabe.
Cool.
Fruppy, what's up?
I'm gonna start out with the redesign that I did for Stern.
Ooh.
I don't know how you other dorks felt, but like finding something to redesign of Stern's was very difficult.
Yeah.
I had to go way back. The Pokemon that I chose, something that you did for like an October Fakemon challenge thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like way back, way back.
Do you remember what year?
No.
I'm asking Stern, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Thank you for asking. No.
But this is based on Monica from Doki Doki Literature Club.
Yes.
Yes, which I was not familiar with. I totally
really?
missed that game when it came out. Yeah. So I did a bunch of like research on like what's going on. What is this?
Let me cover my ass here for a sec. Yeah, this was for an Inktober, and I think it was one that I was like very much like Fruppy. I have no idea what this thing is, and I have like 8 hours to come up with something.
Was this like a prompt then?
It was.
There's Monica. She's weird. She's inside a video game. She knows that she's inside a video game. That's kind of her thing. And she can control things. So you had the psychic type, you had the steel type. Perfect. I kept those. I added this kind of like third eye motif. And then I also took the wires that were on this and I more intentionally attached them to the kind of stomach and also the neck, just because that game has some pretty gruesome moments that revolve around violence to those areas for other characters.
Whoa!
Oh,
damn.
What you had already worked perfectly, where like she gets jealous and she uses her powers to erase your memories of other people, which is like perfect for Monica.
Man, that rendering is sweet.
that is amazing. I love how you combined like the pigtails, because it gives that idea of like entrails, and like for me at least, whenever I get the idea of like body horror, I'm like, how do you mix this with Pokemon? Because Pokemon, it doesn't really fit that vibe, that energy, but man, you nailed it. I dig this so much.
I rarely see like Pokemon that are like straight up looking at the camera, like symmetrical, facing forward like that. But it works so much with like a Monica-inspired Pokemon, and obviously even just with the lore of this Pokemon, it's really cool.
Part of what makes that character so unsettling is that, unlike everyone else with dynamic poses, she like faces you straight on at all times, pretty much.
I really like how you've kind of simplified the design. You made it simpler, but like really much more striking. So all of the things that were important to be there, you kept, but like brought them out even more.
Every element that the original has is there. It's just reconfigured completely differently.
I saw when you had like the table, I was like, oh, there's UB inspiration. And immediately I was like, well, yeah, of course. I was a fool to think otherwise.
I feel like the original was more like Western cartoony, while the redesign is slightly more, anime-like.
And I love the gradients. I'm always so scared of incorporating gradients, but I feel like you did it in such a Pokemon-esque style that it's definitely something that I'm looking at and I'm studying, and I'm like, so this is how we do it, huh?
Well, honestly, inspired by a lot of your work is why I've started to introduce more of it. So
it does look like it's designed by like Sterninator. Like maybe you guys have relatively similar art styles.
Don't downplay Froopy like that.
To me, I mean, the hair kind of looks like a brain.
I also really like that she does not have arms.
I love when Pokemon have arms that aren't their arms. Eraser is just talking like a mind eraser, because it's a little pink, so you kind of think of like an eraser that erases pencils.
Oh yeah, like Mind Eraser, but I do love that the pink does work for pencil too.
I will say I didn't expect to see old artwork of mine brought up and to feel immediately embarrassed.
I'm sorry.
That's what this video is.
I was like, oh no!
And the original's not even bad, but it's like bad for Stern is still very good. Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
I guess it's time for Libris.
Okay. I think I will begin with Froopy's.
Ominous.
Basically, for all three of you, I went as far back as I could to find something.
Oh, wow.
This is literally from the first episode of Pokemon Amber. It is the Fire Starter.
Yes, the starters for that Pokemon Amber series, they had rough theming of like fight or flight or freeze. So he was the flight one, so he's fast. It's not a super deep thematic reasoning.
It's a good theme, honestly.
But the fire one, especially the starter, is definitely the weakest. So I'm actually very happy that you picked this one. Yeah.
Cool.
Honestly, I loved all of the starters. But you're right. Fleetwee itself, I felt was a little bit weak because it doesn't have that kind of starter appeal. I feel like its proportions are like not quite there. Like head needs to be a little bigger, eyes need to be a little bigger, especially for like a modern starter design. I think you were trying to make it look a little scared. That does not come across with it. But there is another aspect to this as well, in that this Pokemon has a different form.
Oh.
That's right. It does. Uh-huh.
What?
Okay, so the starters in this region, they get alternate forms that are like spliced. They're called spliced forms. It's deep in like Jurassic Park lore. So in Jurassic World, when you get these weird hybrid monster dinosaurs. So instead of a more realistic feathered theropod, we have something with the spliced form that is closer to like the naked Jurassic Park Velociraptor.
To be fair, I was already getting dinosaur from the original.
I felt that these two designs were too different to be forms of the same Pokemon.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the first one, the original Fire Starter.
Oh my god. I love him. I love his little arms up over his head.
Oh, I'm glad that came across as arms because I had someone tell me that it looked like ears at some point, and I was like, it's too late.
Oh, I see it.
No, that's feathery arms. Yeah, I got it. That's great.
I wanted to really make it look like it's running away scared.
It's crazy how the colors very much scream starter, like Fire Starter.
At first I had colors that were closer to Froopy's original, but then because I changed the color of the beak, then it looked like Psyduck. And so I was like, okay, I'll just flip the colors, and then with the cream beak and the orange body, then it looked like Torchic. So
yeah, I was scared that it was going to look like Torchic, but no, you did it well. What's crazy is that, this really is the proportions of what a starter would have, with a big head, so the tail is way smaller.
So then there was the challenge of trying to make the second form work equally well.
That definitely works. Whoa.
Oh. No, that's perfect.
What's crazy is that, like, I guess since you design Pokemon less frequently than we do, your art style basically is different every time you present something to me. So I never know what I'm going to get.
That is true.
And this is
that is true.
Really nice art style.
That stripe on the eye, I was like, it's a really cool design. I'm just curious where it came from. And then when you pop up the second one, I was like, oh, because it makes a lot of sense on the raptor side. And it's a carryover into that other design. Oh, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. That works. I love that.
Because it's supposed to be a speedy boy, some speed lines were nice.
I also love that their eyes are swapped color.
Ooh.
Also, this just demonstrates like the importance of a dynamic pose that communicates personality.
Yeah.
I appreciate that because I know that I struggle with drawing dynamic poses.
Same.
Like, I know that very often my Pokemon have very static poses. So this was, something I had to work on.
The redesign successfully looks like a proto bird. it very much is the best fusion of bird and dinosaur. Guess it's my turn. I'll pick Libris. We're gonna go to
Exciting.
Something he made at least more than a year ago, I would assume. I decided to redesign Marmaniacs.
Oh, this was actually one where Fruity was one of the guests.
I'm excited to see what you do, Ron, but I love Marmaniacs.
Yeah, concept-wise is perfect. Even design-wise, it's not like bad or anything. It evolves from Marmates, which is actually like very important to see the pre-evolve form for this. Marmates, you did a very good job in terms of, I think every element is necessary, while the evolve form, I think it's slightly too much to register. Too many personalities, but again, that's kind of the point, that this is just too much for this guy to handle, right? But the number one thing I thought was that, like, the evolve form is basically just the original, but more of these ghosts, basically. But what if we also evolved, the vibe, made it basically scarier, Here is my version of Marmaniacs.
Oh.
Ooh.
Now they're very much maniacs.
Yeah, no kidding.
I love that he's still sad.
Yeah, I had to make sure that was still a thing.
Yeah, he's stressed, yeah.
No, I think you did a great job with kind of simplifying the three spirits.
I thought
just kind of combining them into a mass. That's great.
I guess the hands were slightly unnecessary. They were good, they were good in expressing their expressions and their personalities, but I just decided to just do that with their faces, I guess.
Something I like is that it feels like in the original, it's like three guys bullying this other guy. Like they're actively, purposefully causing harm. Whereas Ron's iteration of this character, this Pokemon, comes across as, hey, this is a bad thing happening to this guy, but it's no one's fault.
It didn't feel like they were bullying to me. I thought they were just doing their own thing, and this guy's just overreacting. like they're just laughing and pointing at things and having a good time, while this guy's like, no, don't stop. So in this one, it's like, nah, this guy, it's clearly these are I guess malevolent spirits. They very much look like they want to do harm instead of just hang out.
Our therapists need to talk, because this Pokemon feels like a Rorschach's test where it's like, they're being mean, like someone's dad. And Ron's like, no, I see it as this.
It has been about 2 years, I think. But if I remember correctly, the idea was that, it kind of makes its own friend, so it has that ghost because it just needs companionship. But then Marmaniacs is just there's too many people, so it's socially overwhelmed, and it literally cannot take time away from these people. So it's not so much that they were bullying, it was just socially overwhelmed. But that does still feel as a concept, that it's a less of a Pokemon concept, something that Game Freak would actually do. Whereas I feel like in your version, that does, it feels more convincing, because you can still imagine it moving around, whereas on mine it would be more like a Wug Trio, something that wouldn't be able to move very well.
Because I thought the original was slightly busy, I made sure to make things cohesive, make sure that the spirits and the base form have a lot of things in common that are just inverses of each other, like the eyes, the skull patterns, which again you already have. But
yeah, I love what you did with the faces. That they just kind of look like floating masks.
Yeah,
exactly. That's my thought as well.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Mine, they are basically the tail instead of also having a tail, like a rib cage and spine kind of pattern on the back, just to make it look more ghosty.
Oh, yeah, I was seeing that as them kind of almost breaking out of the original hamster.
I feel too with the heads feeling almost separate, where it feels almost like the heads are not part of this gaseous form, or they are, but they're a different material. I'd love to see an extra form where one of the heads goes on to the quote-unquote missing part of the Marmite's head, and it becomes it's self-aware form.
That's very interesting. They could have a split evolution like that. That's basically what they are.
Yeah.
Just floating skulls. And I guess that means it's the Sterninator's turn.
Me? I am going to go with a person who has not yet had one of their Pokemon shared, which I want to ask, Ron, if you remember...
I remember everything.
Do you remember this little friend?
Yeah! So that's definitely one that I've wanted to redesign for a long time, so I'm glad you're doing it.
so I'd better do a good job.
I'm trying to think if I've ever redesigned. I didn't.
Well, I looked at it. One of the first things I thought was very cool designs and very interesting areas of expression here. But ultimately, it feels like a crab wearing a cone.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's the idea.
Back then, I was like, I have the concept. Let me just draw it. I don't care if it looks good. Basically, it's a hermit crab,
right?
Hermit crab with a cone. That's already a good enough concept. I'm not going to spend time on it for some reason. I don't know.
They're like, Pokemon is two ideas mashed together and nothing else. So we'll just do that. So I went ahead and I expanded and I constructed, and I brought in these pieces to make something that felt a little bit more, hopefully more cohesive to the idea. Not too far from where we're going, but I feel like it...
Yes!
I feel like... Yeah, kind of hard to tell at this pose, but they're meant to be two different types of claws. One is like a clamp, and one is a digger for like constructing and construction. So it makes sense that it would hide itself in these construction sites, shoe cobbler-esque, like you wake up and it's like, oh, this area's been done, but maybe done poorly, like by someone who has claws for hands, but still completed. One of the things that I really wanted to do with this was I love the mustache. So I brought that in with the beard to make the beard almost feel like a shovel type look too. So it can dig itself underground using its face to hide under the cone. But using that almost to make it feel like a foreman. Like it's the old guard of the construction crew.
Yes. Yeah. I love how it's literally the same thing. It's literally the same exact Pokemon, but like every single aspect is just better.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
I love that face.
Yeah, well, I looked and I was like, one of these eyes is making an expression. And I was like, I don't understand why the expression, but I want to keep it. I noticed that in yours it's a pure water type. But I thought, well, if I want to make it construction-y, I want to add something to it. So I don't know if I broke the rules by adding more aspect.
Nah, you needed to. I don't know why it was just pure water type. Because again, it didn't have the construction aspect in the beginning, and which again was what I would have done if I were to redesign it. Because like I guess again back then I wasn't thinking of like the cool threads. This one is how you do it.
Yeah, this one was a ton of fun. This is from, I believe, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
I literally went into your videos, went to playlist, said organize by oldest, and found this, which I think is like episode 2 or 3 of your first Let's Make a Pokemon videos.
What's funny is that the first like where I go on a walk and design from what I what I see on the walk, like from the first episode, I was seeing these cones, and I'm like, I want to make a Hermit Crab cone Pokemon, and it wasn't until I think like the 4th episode that I made it. But this was literally the first few months of me making art on my channel, and I did kind of forget about it. I guess that's why I didn't redesign it. That video did amazingly, while a video like this one, like the one that we're literally recording right now with these literally amazing designs, like designs that are like probably 5 times better than the originals, it's gonna have 5 times less views. So it's like, it's crazy how like back then me making mediocre art can get like 1 billion views, while us making this like these perfect Fakemon, the video's just gonna do average, you know?
I know for me, I'm gonna have 1 million people come at me for this, because they're like, every 3rd video that Stern does or is in, he makes a crab. And so I know I'm going to have people come at me, and I'm getting ahead of it now. Please don't cut this out. I want them to be aware that I know. I don't know if it's the sun coming through on your render of it, or if it's the reflective on the cone, but I love the idea of almost hiding in place. You're literally hiding under something that is designed so that everyone can see it.
I never thought of that.
Why does the cone look like it's glowing so much? The cones that I've seen, they don't have lights inside of them.
Back then I loved putting lens flares in my videos, but also it does make sense that it's like, yes, the sun reflecting off the reflective part of the thing, but I like how yours it's glowing, which is again much better.
And I even made the legs the same color as the cone, because I thought about that scene in Toy Story where they're hiding under the cones, and I thought maybe if it's moving around, people will be like, the bottom's the same color as the top, it must just be a regular cone.
Yeah, it was dumb of me to do the cone orange on the top of the legs instead of the bottom in the original. What I love is the addition of the black, which kind of makes it look like asphalt, and it just ties it all together. Makes it feel like a city Pokemon.
Oh, thank you. This one was a ton of fun.
But because the eye no longer lines up, right before it kind of lined up with the edge of the cone.
Oh yeah, it's very bad.
So at first glance, you're like, is that behind the cone? And just by kind of repositioning things, it's not really a redesign, but it's making sure that the render is communicating what's going. Yeah, good job.
What is even up with like I guess like the angle of the cone? Because like from that angle, we should be seeing the underside of the cone, like in the redesign, but in the original, you don't.
He's cool. He's wearing the cone sideways. I don't know if there is a sideways cone, but you know.
Yeah, he's like tilting it.
Okay, so next up, I'm gonna be redoing one of Ron's.
Yeah.
Actually.
Oh yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Okay, so Ron. Do you remember this spooky boy?
Nice.
Yes. from a thumbnail, actually. Ooh, yes.
Yeah, again, that was a very significant video because like it was the first video where I changed the thumbnail and it did better because of that change in thumbnail.
I like him for the most part. There's a couple things. He feels a little flat in his body.
Yeah, very much.
He feels like he kind of turns into a sheet a little bit. And also his fingies are like, the proportions feel weird on his hands to me. And then I kind of did more.
I have to ask, what is it?
So,
oh yeah,
this is from a
Go
video
ahead, Ron.
where this is the first video where I've turned phobias into Pokemon, and this one is the phobia is, I guess, my personal phobia of like white gaunt bodies moving in weird ways in in the night. So I combine that with like electricity to make it like a zombie that moves like in ways that a body shouldn't. Like imagine like it was zapped and that's how it moves.
Right.
I hate just human-like creatures that move in unhuman-like ways. So that's what this is.
Ron's never gonna come to visit me. Is just what I found out.
I went ahead and redid the pre-evolution.
Whoa!
Just because I could. It's simple enough that I just redid him.
I like the hollow eyes.
Yeah, so I was taking a look at other ghost types. He's Ghost Electric. I wanted a slightly more dynamic pose and to convey the corpseness that was going on with your theming.
Now, Ron, are you okay?
Is this too spooky for you? You can say.
I'm kind of petrified.
This is the redesigned Jolterer.
Yo!
I may have gone too far. Like I thought before, the design was
it has,
a little
again,
too
literally
plain.
Everything that the original has is just because again the original had nothing, so it's like you just interpreted everything in a more fleshed out way.
Like, imagine you're walking around in the Pokemon world and you see that in the distance.
Well, it was messed
At
up.
night.
The like Dex entry that you wrote, Ron, is like it reanimates corpses and moves them like a puppet master, which is like that's pretty messed up for a Pokemon.
Yeah.
I love the shiny colors, and the fact that I had not like made that connection before, but the fact that it looks more like a flayed body actually makes me like it more.
It looks like a burnt body that was electrocuted.
I love it.
Again, it's like you took everything that the original had and just amped it up. That's a pun on electricity, by the way. But no, because like everything is just more interesting. Again, the hands, it's the same concept. It's just how you would design the hands if it was done by a better artist. The head, I mean, like the head was already supposed to be like not skull-like, but it was supposed to be zombie-like, and this is literally that. Every single aspect. I think the patterns are perfect. I really like the patterns. That's the problem with the original, where it's like the whole point is that it's supposed to be like a rat moving erratically, but the Thunderbolt body is very like uniform and like just traditional Thunderbolt silhouette. While this one, it looks like it would be moving like twisted and erratically because the Thunderbolt is like not symmetrical, it's like very random, which is what a Thunderbolt should be. And there's, I think, a subtle thing that maybe wasn't unintentional, but the negative space of the ribs kind of look like those old-timey light bulbs in like
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Oh, that's crazy.
Oh, yeah, that was not intentional, but I'm glad it reads in a cool way.
I feel like you could look at this design for hours and constantly find something new and interesting, these little hidden Easter eggs, like those fuse style lights or the electrical negative shading there. Like it's so interesting and detailed.
I guess back then I was scared to do any gradients because I felt like that's not a thing Pokemon did. Like this was before like Dragapult, for example. I designed that, but now that we have precedent, I would totally this makes total sense.
Well, and I just want to thank you for coming up with just probably one of the most effed up Pokemon concepts ever.
I didn't even realize it was that crazy when I made it. I guess because the tone of the video was already crazy. Like the Pokemon before this in the video was even more scary. I guess it's time for Umbreon Libris.
So I'll talk about Stern. So
please do.
So I looked as far back as I could on your channel, and then it was all too good, and I just like nothing was coming to mind as something I had to redesign. So I opened your Instagram and literally scrolled to the bottom. And
you're like, all of these are terrible.
Well, it was definitely not terrible, but yeah, it was a little easier to find something.
There was a big jump. There was a big jump in quality somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh,
I love Londojo.
Londojo.
A fighting type Pokemon that piles clothes onto itself to like increase its body weight and like train its muscles that way. That is such a good idea. I have, a few problems with it, but there is one in particular, and it is called Tangrowth.
Oh yeah, totally forgot about that guy.
Oh no.
Lawn Dojo looks like a convergent Tangrowth, but not intentionally.
So you're saying one of my favorite old designs looks like one of my favorite older Pokemon?
To me, Lawn Dojo doesn't look like a Pokemon that has a bunch of fabric on top of it. It looks like a short, pudgy Pokemon with like 2 or 3 pieces of fabric on it.
Ooh,
There you go.
Yes!
I like the added color.
Color was definitely something that I felt needed to change, because if this Pokemon is stealing clothes from hampers and clotheslines, it's not always going to be able to get the same color. So it would have to get,
True.
things that don't necessarily match all the time. I actually looked up like with the most common colors of clothing, and then I added the beige so that it like you have the jeans and the khaki pants.
It wasn't always beige.
It has underpants on its head because it needed something to make it like a little bit funny and endearing.
Oh, what's the butterfly? Vivillion?
Vivian.
I can totally see Vivian being
Right.
being one of those where it's like you can get all the different patterns of clothing.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
It had like the actual creature underneath. It probably has arms, but its arms are not where those swinging fists are. So I imagine that when it's at rest, this is probably what it looks like.
Nice.
But I love that like the ends are like fists, but they're also like balled up fabric, and so it
Yeah,
has this heaviness. I love it.
Some of my favorite.
I am too.
Some of my favorite arms in a Fakemon design. I guess because it's unique, but it makes total sense. Like
I love these arms so much. Yeah.
He can give crazy hugs or snap your spine, but you're gonna be comfy either way.
I
Yeah.
mean, you can really turn sheets into like a weapon. Like if you really ball it up, it does hurt when you hit with it.
I love it using stockpile and just getting more laundry on top of itself.
Yeah.
This would just be a straight up like it's a Pokemon with its own identity. It just works. It's like a niche that has been filled in the Pokemon world. And now it's my turn. True Green 7. I'm gonna redesign Froopy's Blacier.
Oh, yeah. Okay, cool.
Honestly, definitely a kind of Pokemon that I would want to see. Question: what dinosaur is this based on?
It's based on a Pachyrhinosaurus.
Yeah. So I was like, I don't know what that is. Let me just make it not that.
Okay, good. I was like, so just me who doesn't know what we're talking about?
What's
Okay.
funny is that I did show it to Virgo after I even redesigned it, and she's like, it's a Pachyrhinosaurus, whatever you said. I'm like, oh, oh, that's not what I did. Basically, the original I thought wasn't cohesive enough. It's clear that like the fire and the ice parts are kind of separate. It makes sense where like the parts that have are radiating heat don't have the snow anymore. But I guess I'll try to make it more clear. It's similar in terms of like the configuration, but it's a completely different vibe. A fire dinosaur that has ice on it, I feel like that's my problem with it. And when you think of Primal, you can think of both Ice Age and Volcano, So I think that is the theme going on. This is mine. Glacier.
Ooh.
It feels more ancient instead of just like a modern dinosaur Pokemon.
The lava burning under the skin is awesome.
Thank you. I do like lava patterns on the design.
Yeah, it's a good lava, yeah.
And then even like the dark
Also-
skin, it looks both like frostbitten but also like obsidian,
Well, and I think my favorite bit of the lava is like up on the frill, you've got one, I assume there's 2 marks, you just can't see it in
Yeah,
the
there's 2.
perspective. But like, in a lot of paleo art, you see dinosaurs like this, Ceratopsians, that have like faux eye patterns on their frills, and so I don't know if you did that intentionally, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it was based on like the patterns that they had. I mean, yours almost basically has one. I decided, what if that's where the heat radiated from, like these like oven-like circles, instead of I guess holes on the original one. And again, obviously, I made mine more like a Triceratops because I guess that is my favorite dinosaur if I think about it, and I feel like it makes more sense with the like a sharp ice.
Like looking at the original, it does just look like it's a dinosaur that has some fire coming out of it and some ice on it. And in your version, the fire and ice parts still they're still like separate parts, but they actually feel like they belong to the Pokemon. Like I feel like seeing the lava cracks through the skin, that makes it like there is fire inside of it, and the ice being like fully around it and like encasing the entire face, that makes it seem like it that's like where it belongs and not just something snowed and landed on there, you know?
Something that I liked in the original design is there's this like striking balance between these like harsh edges and then these rounded shapes. And I feel like Ron's takes that into account and continues it on. So there are a lot of like, the areas where there's fire feels very rounded, like seeing the swoop of the tail that leads up into this pointed glacier, and like how the back and legs seem like swooped and rounded, but then there's this spike of the glacier on the back.
I guess the thing I did to make it more cohesive was basically that both the fire and ice have similar shapes. They're both like pentagons. I mean, the ice breaks pentagonally. The lava patterns are kind of a similar shape. And then also there's spiky ice while also having spiky rocks coming out of the obsidian that look like, the spikes on a dinosaur or lizard or anything like that. Instead of having the fire and ice be represented with completely different shapes and textures, like in the original.
Yeah, I like yours are so much better though. With the lava, that just reads really well.
And now it's time for start.
It's time for me! Alright, I'm gonna look at one of Libras's Pokemon.
Exciting.
And I'll start by saying, you monster.
Wow.
I found a design and I was like, oh, I love this design. I want to kind of Pokemon-fy it a little bit more and look at, and then it was like, all right, what's it called? And at the end you say, anyway, I don't have a name for this thing. That's fine. We can do that. So I went with the second to the fully evolved version of this guy.
Yeah.
I love the nose on this guy. I love that it's such a different shape for like the head and how the tail comes in on this, and the fact that this was in the video, spoilers if you haven't seen the video, I think it's 3 years old, was you went off of the description of a Pokemon, but didn't know what Pokemon it was, and it ended up being Nidoking. And so I actually went in and looked at the dex entries for Nidoking, and kind of took everything that you had there and amped it up a little bit to give this here.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And
because I just thought the original wasn't bad. Like, there was nothing wrong with it, except it just needed to be judged. It needed to have a little more oomph, So that's literally what you did. Cool.
Yeah. I agree. Like, there was nothing wrong with it, and that's why I'm bad at this challenge, because I kept finding stuff, and I'm like, I love this design. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to do that.
That is tough. That's because you have to find a design that you actually like something about it. That is tough.
No, but you did it. Like, that is basically what I was going for, but a lot more Pokemon-like.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wanted to slim down some of the aspects of it. So whereas you have all these tons of spikes all about it, I wanted to say, like, okay, what if we kind of slim that down to very specific placement? And so I wanted to do that, simplify it a little bit, change the color of the skin area to be a little bit lighter, to almost feel like it's more so a Pokemon wearing armor that is its quills. So just differentiating up the color a little bit to add that separation of texture of skin to claw.
I guess the original one doesn't have a lot of shapes. It's not made up of a lot of shapes, and yours looks like a Pokemon because of that, the redesign.
Yeah.
Do you know what a prehensile tail porcupine sounds like?
Yeah, I was thinking of the sounds the whole time when I was...
Yeah, but like with this angry little face now, it's hilarious because they're like, meow, 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 meow. So yeah, I think it's, whether intentional or not, I think it makes that so much funnier, the idea of this thing being like a squeaky little grump. Yeah.
Well, I also had the challenge of having to come up with a potential name for this Pokemon, where I was like, what would, because the sound, I was like, what kind of sound would it make? Well, what kind of name would it have? And I came up with the take it or leave it. I came up with the name Scorpreen.
Scorpreen?
Like score. Scorpreen. To score something, as well as like preen, like animals that take care of their fur or their feathers very well.
Part of my process when I have a new idea is that usually my first sketches are much more like naturalistic proportions.
Yeah, same.
And then I have to iterate it like over and over and over again to make it more cartoony, more like Pokemon. And so, like, obviously at the time I felt that I got to a decent place with that one. But like what you did was just like take a few iterations beyond that to the point where like, okay, now it actually feels like Pokemon.
That's what I was going for.
Oh, we're making Pokemon? It's great. If you show like the original literal animal, like a drawing of the literal animal, it is as if you're seeing like a transition from the literal animal to Libras's original design and then to the final Pokemon looking design. Now it's time for the final round. Time for Froop. Time to Froop.
All right. Okay, so the last person I've yet to hit is Libras. Do you remember this cute little bug line?
I do remember it.
So
Basically, I saw something on Twitter that was just like a photo of this caterpillar, and then I tweeted. I just tweeted out like, "This is a Pokemon waiting to happen," and then I did it.
just did the 2 pre-evolutions. Just like another super quick pass at them. So this is them. Also, they don't have names because Libris doesn't like to name all his stuff.
What's up with that?
I don't know. So
I don't think it's that important.
that's fair. I'll back you up on that.
I told you he's a monster.
I love that cocoon.
Yeah, the cocoon's very
Love that
so-
cocoon.
And that was the whole thing that I love about your design is like how cosmic it feels, like the galaxy pattern. I just like fell in love with it.
So we get to see a window into the cocoon.
Exactly, like a chrysalis. So you can see a little photo of the caterpillar itself on the right side. It's
Oh, whoa, that is scary.
the colors are tweaked on that. It's sometimes a little bit more brown, but like those colors are so good. And Libris knew it. Like you got to use those colors. It read too much as a butterfly to me. I like the kind of pill shape of a moth body, and kind of their fuzziness. It kind of flows together a little bit more. So we did a new shape for that. I made sure to keep I love the eye patterning that goes throughout the whole line. Like maintaining that on the wings was super important. Maybe it's silly, but like this feels like I want it to be a pseudo legendary. Like I want this to be
Really?
Sure.
Wow.
big. Yeah, maybe I'm crazy, but I want this to be like a big, majestic bug.
It's crazy that we don't have a moth Pokemon with like the theme of nighttime or like stars.
Right? That's
How is
yeah.
that possible?
It's true.
Oh my god, the eyes are so unique. Sheesh.
I mean, like, to me, this is basically a completely new Pokemon that just happens to use my Pokemon as inspiration, and it's just, like, so much better. But, like, it was probably one of the first Fakemon that I designed and put on my channel.
Really?
And this was one where like he did this all in one art stream. He just sat down and knocked out all 3. Again, didn't name them.
I love what you did with the eyes on the wings, because, like, yes, the pattern is there, but it's, like, kind of inverted a little bit.
These are such unique wings. Like,
Yeah.
they're so cool and unique. I love that they're almost like silhouetted with just this night sky to them. Almost makes me think of like, if you remember Chowder, how they would do
Yeah.
textures on stuff.
Oh,
Where
that-
like characters would move, but the texture would stay stagnant in the background layer.
Yeah.
I know that I took it way farther away from the original design than I should have, but
No, you did the right thing.
Hopefully that's what the final round is.
Well, that's a good segue to mine if we're ready to move on.
yeah, let's go.
Like I said, I went as far back as I could, and this is for Ron.
Oh,
I think I went even to something that is not really a Fakemon video.
what does that even mean?
It
Oh, it's from like
So here's a childhood photo of Ron.
it's possibly the first or the earliest video with Fakemon in it
but
that
it
is
wasn't a
on
fake
your
movie.
channel.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember
How
these.
have I not redesigned this? I thought I did, but I didn't. That's crazy. Basically, my friend guessing if these Fakemon are real or not. But
Yeah, real or fake.
this is technically already a redesign of something that I made like as a child. So now it's time to redesign it again. I consider that an actual Fakemon video. So I consider that the first
Okay.
video when I made digital Fakemon art, basically. Because there was a video where I showed like a school project like in the first year of my channel. That was
okay.
like just drawn
Yeah.
on paper. This is the first Fakemon video.
So this is called Zap Plug, and it's clearly an electric plug. And my problem with it is that that's it,
Yep.
right? Like, and I think it makes sense because like the point of the video wasn't to make Fakemon; it was to just like draw something that could conceivably be a Pokemon. And so like it's like a shallow design. It looks great. Like it's an adorable electric plug Pokemon. Like, what direction do I take this in? Because there's so many options. Like, I can make it more abstract, and I actually have like some really rough sketches of just like ideas of where I could take this, and I'll share them. So this is just like I can make it. I can make it more. I can make it just like more abstract. Like lean into this electric plug sprite. Kind of like a Rotom type of thing, but make it a little bit more abstract.
It looks more like an animal. Like it looks like a maybe rabbit a little bit, or like a Jerboa or something like that. It looks instead of just a little plug. Yeah.
Or I could like add another layer to it and like still keep it like it is a plug, but like make it also something else that's specific. My first idea being a beetle.
That's really good.
And it's just like it is exactly the same design, if you're like looking top down, it's basically exactly the same design as your original, but now it's a beetle.
I guess, yeah.
And so the one that I landed on is even more radical of redesign than this, and even more radical than what Fruppy did as well.
Okay. That is a completely different
cute.
That is funny, because I guess the bug, even though it looks really cool, we already have like a very similar line of Pokemon like that, right?
Exactly. So that was the reason I ended up choosing a different idea in the end, is because like design-wise, it would be fairly close to like Grubbin. Theming, it would be fairly close to Vikavolt, and so it's just like maybe I can make a different animal work as a plug.
True.
And so yeah, a little pig.
It's hard to critique because like I'm just gonna basically critique it as this is just a good Pokemon on its own, basically. You know, like this is just a really good Fakemon.
I'll point out like the way that you reinterpreted kind of the double section eyes into an eyebrow and eye, and then like the mouth is a nose, and you know the plugs are tusked, and even this kind of razorback pattern that was, you know, kind of on the original, but like accentuating that. I am really impressed.
It's a gosh darn good Pokemon, good Fakemon, honestly.
It makes me think of that like Jigglypuff but seen from above type of setup. Yeah. Where it's like, what if you...
basically what it was, yeah.
Yeah, what if you turn the Pokemon around? What is it now? Like, and it's so good, it's so cute.
Oh! Ooh, I like the size of it. I like how small it is.
It's just, Electivire has the plug shape on its back, it's just too perfect.
Natural predator.
Yeah.
It's a really good concept art. I don't know, there's something about from the back, I just like it a lot.
It shows off how closely related, like how close the designs are. It shows it off better, like when you're seeing it from above.
Literally the same, I guess, silhouette from that angle. This is similar to like beta forms, where like mine is like the, you know, like Game Freak betas, at least for the first few generations, they're a little too literal, not a lot of inspiration to them. It's like literally just like a koala or literally just a plug, while yours is like the final, what it ended up being, even though it's like the concept changes so much, like how those beta forms, like the concepts, and they ended up being completely different in the beta forms. Even honestly, its nose looks like an outlet.
You know, I considered making it more like directly an outlet.
So it is, I guess, pig makes so much sense for this. But I guess it's time for... Oh, it's me. Wait, is it me?
Yeah, it's you.
Wow, then okay, I guess we're almost done. This one is the most drastic as well. Wow, we're all just doing really drastic ones. And yeah, it was really tough to find a certain one because I guess there's two eras to your Fakemon art. There's like the early COVID, and then there's your modern channel Fakemon, I guess. And I didn't know that the early COVID Fakemon existed. All the ones on your channel, I went through all the videos on your channel, I'm like, all these are fine. You know, all these are fine to amazing, right? Like, I can't...
Yeah, what a jerk. Yeah.
Like, why'd you do that?
Well, you look and you're like, oh, he's got like 500 videos. I can go through all these, and you realize like these are all within 6 months.
No.
And I guess this one is from like 2021 or something, maybe 2020. I do not remember. Definitely when we were taking, you know, COVID seriously. I guess that's why you made like a medicine Pokemon.
Oh, I hate this thing. Yeah, go ahead.
What am I looking at?
Exactly.
I don't even remember this one.
What is even the inspiration? I don't know.
I wasn't taking drawing Pokemon seriously. I was like, whatever, we'll see. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool to do a new nurse Pokemon for my
that's
region,
what I thought you
for
did.
My world? I'm looking at it as I'm talking, and I hate looking at him.
So yeah, it's your own version of Audino and Chansey. According to your decks, it has zippers on its belly, but it's like, and that would be, for an average Pokemon, that would be like a big deal. Like, that would be a huge part of its design. Like the zipper Pokemon, you know? Like, it has pouches and zippers. And this one, it doesn't even look like that. It doesn't look like it has anything, but like the Pokedex entry has interesting lore. So I'm like, no, let's make zippers actually prominent and make it the zipper Pokemon, basically, you know? But the number one aspect is that I'm like, if you're going to make a Pokemon Center Pokemon like the previous two, why are we going to do another one that's also like happy and pink and whatever? Why not make one that has a completely different personality than Audino and Happiny, but is still very caring and giving? And even Revitalk sounds more like brutal. It sounds like, because again, it's a poison type, so it sounds like a brutal name. So I feel like mine looks like a Revitalk a little bit more.
Yes!
Oh, yeah.
I love Pokemon with that kind of contrast, where it looks scary, but it's actually a very, very friendly Pokemon.
This is something that is not known about punks in general, but punks are very caring.
That's true, exactly. And
that is like super important to punk culture.
Yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Hey, I need a safety pin. They're like, here, let me pull out one of the 30 on my pants. And you're like, awesome, thank you.
Well, obviously, I did expand on the pouches, so it has like a bunch of pouches. I guess he kind of looks like a drug dealer, because again, he's a medicine He looks like he would be in the alley, dealing something. But again, no, he's a legitimate guy. He's in the Pokemon centers, but also in the alleys.
Yeah. But also in the alleys,
And that's why also it very much looks related to, I guess, like Scrafty. But I love making Pokemon that are related to other Pokemon, like biologically.
He's a drug dealer, but he also does have his doctorate. Like, it's...
Yeah!
I love it. Oh my gosh, because I hate my Revitox so much. And I love that he's wearing original Revitox's skin.
Yeah.
So I dig it. I love the shiny is Terapagos colors.
Oh, wow, yeah, wow. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he could, again, be an evolution of yours. Like, he just comes out of the skin, sheds it, and then...
No, I wouldn't want him to have anything to do with that horrible, horrible thing that I made.
I love how you've basically kept exactly the same body shape, and yet it's a completely different design.
And I like that you kept his weird socks, which if I recall correctly with my Rivitox, I wanted them to look like those socks that they give you at the hospital. And so I'm glad that you kept that aspect of it without even realizing what those were a reference to. Well, and adding in that green was such like, I don't know if you felt the same way, like such a gamble, having that yellow on like the stomach and the socks and the head, like it ties it all together. That yellow you really gave purpose to.
Thank you.
And I like, because you could have gone, I'm assuming you maybe thought about it for a second, like going a purpley plummy to bring in the poison type.
Yeah.
But I really like that you went with green so that it really, you get the dichotomy between those two typings more than if you had just done pink and purple.
I guess it's time for Stern. Finish us off.
All right, I'm going to finish this off with Fruip.
Yeah.
Fruity guy. And so I went as far back as I could find. Man, your Instagram is packed. I found this Pokemon.
Yes. Okay.
I don't even remember seeing
Vilnius. And again, I'm terrible at this because I was like, I love this design. Why do I pick it? So I went in and I will say this because I know we've been talking about like, oh, everyone's going super far out with their designs. I didn't go too far. I didn't stray too far. I just kind of cleaned it up, made it more Pokemon-esque, made the colors more vibrant.
Nice.
Wow. This is the most similar out of all of them.
Yeah, I know. I was really worried when you guys were like, man, we're going crazy on the last ones. I was like, yeah, so I went in, kind of expanded those gloves to feel more like pizza oven type paddles and cooking glove type things. I love this boy's thick thighs.
Damn, boy, he thick.
Very hefty boy. I dig him. I dig his little bowl cut. I dig the face that you came up with was so unique and interesting.
This was from so long ago that I did not really understand how to color line art yet. So just you coloring the dang line art makes it look so good. Also, I'm glad that you kept the like thighs thick and whatnot. So she's a lady.
Damn it, Stern, you misgendered the oven.
She's based on Venus.
Yeah, Venus statues, fertility statues, and also like kilns and whatnot as well. But yeah, love it.
I love the shapes of the thighs, like that extra like bulge or whatever it is. That almost looks muscular, but it works. It's very nice.
Completely unintentional on my part, but I designed something that in my brain, right, it is symmetrical.
Yeah, I was going to say
it
that.
has an arm on there, but I am a sucker for any asymmetrical designs. So the fact that you have something asymmetrical, it makes me very happy.
The asymmetry feels a lot more interesting. So I went with that and kind of cut that section out. Because like I said, I have a pizza oven that we built in our backyard. And it's constantly falling apart. It's a fire hazard at the current moment.
Sounds like
so having something that feels chipped and these little sections kind of falling away, I was like, feels about right for that same type of thing. I also widened out those areas there. I did not know that it was based off of the Venus, but once you mentioned that, I was like, I totally see it. So I'm glad that I didn't change the body shape to be like, what if we make it sexier? You know, type of look.
I do think
put the sand
she
in.
is slightly like she's cuter than the original. The original one in the end is slightly more masculine, and it just worked out that way.
I'm sorry, I don't have very much to comment on because, as we've already covered, it's basically the same but better.
It's like if Smoochum wanted to cook you.
Yeah. If you say so. All right, I guess that's all of them. Literally no misses. Only hits.
I had a lot of fun. Thank you for having me.
I love that everyone had the shared experience of looking at my stuff and being like, there's nothing here.
Oh my god, yeah, that was stressful.